It's Cherie McCrae. I'm back. So, in the midst of all my videos, when I go onto YouTube, sometimes I forget what I've uploaded or what I forgot to upload. And some of it I don't even want to go back and listen to because it's just painful to even hear the things that I've gone through. Even though you've gone through it, it's just different when you hear it. It's almost like looking at a victim, like if you've been in my shoes where you work in this field of trying to save people, it's easier to save others than to save yourself. And I know that sounds really stupid, but it's true. So I wasn't really sure if I made this video or not, so I was going to go ahead and document it. So here we go. It's not going to be a fun one, so don't watch this in front of kids or listen to it where you're going to eat a sandwich or something. It's not going to be really good. So here we go. My father, Bishop Ronnie McCrae and Cheryl McCrae and the Bible Anabaptist Church and StreetPreachersFellowship.com. You can look them up. And there's also a website called Street Preachers Fellowship Around the World. That's unfortunately my parents. What the world doesn't know is some of the things that they did was so vile and so ratchet and so wretched and criminal and disgusting and vile in the state of Pennsylvania that I feel that they need to be prosecuted amongst other people for what they did. With that being all said, I guess I just wanted to always make sure that everything's documented, especially the older I got, when I realized certain things were never going to happen for me, meaning basically my family is in outside family, like the McCraes or the Orches, like them being a part of my life. When I realized that I was really never wanted, I just decided, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody on here. So if I were to die, I wanted to make sure my story didn't die with me. So I decided to put up some of the most horrific things, and I apologize if this is going to be not such a fun video, but the truth hurts, and I apologize that I really didn't get a choice in this matter, so here we go. And if it's hard for you to listen, can you just imagine what it was like for me? Growing up, they loved to do sick things to me, and one of the things was, it was on a Sunday. We had come home from church, and my father was the pastor, and he thought he was basically God, and he would do things that were just so horrific and unimaginable. I just to this day can't even fathom that they're walking free. One day, so we come home, and this, I'm going to try to make this a long story short and try not to really feel what happened that day because I'll fall apart. But I'm going to guess I was probably around, I don't know, I'm going to say 12, 13 years old, give or take. But my brother Ronnie Jr. was always trying to save me and give me a heads up about what was going on. And I was locked in this closet. So I'd come home from church. They would walk me, especially my mom. She just loved this. Walk me upstairs to this mini room, closet type thing, because my closet's way bigger than this thing. But she would stick me in there. They would nail the doors shut. The boards, I call it a door, but a lot of times it was just boards, so like up and down, and so they would nail them on, and so I couldn't get out. And Ronnie Jr. comes running to me upstairs, and he would tell me like what was going to happen ahead of time. And I remember looking out the window, and we had an outhouse hole, and I'm just going to guess I'm 5 foot right now, so I don't know really, like logistically speaking correctly on the exact, space. But I remember looking out my window, and my brother Ronnie was pushing over this building, which was the outhouse hole, because we didn't have like public running water or sewage like in our house. So we had an outhouse, and they had pushed the building over. And there's this hole. So it's probably, I'm going to say, give or take 6 to 8 feet. Inside of it is maggots, feces, dirty tampons, you name it. It's been sitting there for, I don't know, a few years. So it's pretty bad. I remember I was shaking because I knew something really horrific was fixing to happen. And so we had just come home from church. Yeah, there you go. Take that one to the bank. But anyway, so it makes me upset thinking about this. So this is why I try not to, sometimes get videos because I just can't almost bear it. If any of you guys look at the pictures I post, there's a picture where I have a window circled. That's where they had me at. So I look out, and I see that they've done this. And there's a pen. Yeah, I said it, a pen. a pin that Ron McCray is done mislocated or whatever. I don't know what he did with it. Good Lord, I don't care. But he had accused me of taking this pin and throwing it down the outhouse hole. So the night before, I had a coffee can. My mom would use her Maxwell House coffee cans, and when they would empty out, she would give them to me for my toilet. And so when they would get full, they would she would take me out there and let me dump it in the outhouse hole. So, and then I would have to pour bleach in the can. And I remember to this day, I can still smell it. Like it would fuzz up in the can. God only knows how much poison that was just for me to deal with that. But they would like ridicule me while I was doing it. Like, oh, it stinks, you stink. Because they wouldn't let me bathe. I mean, I would go forever without bathing, and I'm probably sure I did stink. But when you're in a locked-in closet with a can for a toilet and you're starving Monday through Friday, and then you're used as basically a slave, it's just, you can just imagine the foulness of it. So my mom loved to make fun of me. It was just like her favorite thing to do. So the night before, when she had taken me there, they had basically over this night decided that I have taken this pen. Like, good Lord, you know. Anyways, so they they come to the conclusion, because there was a beating involved with it too, but the conclusion was that the pen was in the outhouse hole, because in my mind, getting them to stop beating me would just, you eventually, like, you know, just admit like, oh, I did it, or I had it, and you don't even have it, but so it's like when you see these police videos of investigation and they say, well, why did they admit to something they didn't do? Trust me, I know, I've lived it, I know what that's like. So, basically you're thinking, oh, well, if I say it went in our household, they'll stop beating me, which that backfired on me. So they decided to turn that outhouse whole building over. And I remember Ronnie coming running up, and he was like, get ready. You're not going to believe what they're going to do to you. And I was like, what? And we were whispering through the wall, and he was like, they're going to put you in that outhouse. And, so, you know, you're just not thinking that this could possibly be real. And you know that you don't have this pin, and you know there's nothing you can do about it, but you're going to have to live this incident down. So they took me outside. They stripped me down. I remember my mom saying, well, I don't want her clothes getting dirty. I don't want to clean that up. So I had like this slip, because we wore these jean dresses, and this slip underneath it. And I remember like they literally stripped me down to that slip, and they wanted me to get in the hole, and they had all my brothers lined up around the outhouse hole. So it was Ron, Cheryl, my Ronnie Jr., Steven, me, and Micaiah, and I think Enoch was there. I'm not sure if Enoch was born yet. I can't really recall, but I feel quite confident if he wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was close to that era. So they put them around. They're preaching, and Ron's telling me I'm going to hell, and I'm going to burn in hell, and I'm full of the devil, and they want me to get in this hole, and I'm begging, and I'm crying, and I'm pleading them not to do this. And I'm like, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. And they're like, get in the hole, get in the hole. And I was scared because I didn't know how to swim, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And so I actually remember this stupid. There's a stick on the ground, like right by the hole. And I was going to grab it because I was scared, and they were going to push me in. And I was just like stalling, trying not to get in. And they were not going to quit. So I went to grab this little stick, and they were like, took that stick from me, and they like kind of shoved me, and I fell in. And there was like maggots everywhere, y'all. And I was drowning. Like, I was scared because I was trying to hold on to the walls. And I don't know how to explain the horror. But I was terrified, and they wanted me to go down under the bottom of all the feces to try to find a pin that you know damn well is not there, because I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And all I know is I got to live through this, and I got to get through this, and I can't. And I'm scared, and I'm crying, and I'm begging for help. And there was literally no way to get out. Like, there was no way to get out. And my brothers are watching this, and what can they do? You know, really, they were just as scared as probably as I was. Is in like, what do we do? Because I mean, they know that if they do anything, they're next. And so it was just always me and Ronnie Jr. knew that if we had ever like done anything like, you know, more than like try to run away or something, that we felt like they would do it to my brother Steven, and we would made a promise that we could hang in there. We didn't want him to do it to Steven, as we felt like Steven would die because he was so little and he had health problems when he was born and stuff. And so me and Ronnie just made a vow. I mean, we was over and over and over. We promised each other, like, no matter what, we're not going to let Steven, we don't want Steven to die. And first, you know, there wasn't Mikey and Enoch. They were younger, and they were way younger than us, so they weren't, you know, it was years before they were born. So a lot of this was going on prior to them being born, and we wanted to just make sure that Steven didn't die. And we knew that they would start beating on him, and so we knew they were their main target. So we just kept having faith that we could survive this horror camp, and that way Steven wouldn't die or get hurt. But I remember there was just the maggots crawling all over me, and I was begging for that stick because I couldn't reach the bottom. And every time I would go under, I was just, God, if you could just imagine like what I was going through at that moment. This went on for hours. Like, they kept letting me, I got to such a point, like, I knew it was just over. Like, I could not live. And the whole time, Ron's going, you know, you're going to hell, and Cheryl's telling me I'm full of the devil, and that I'm a whore. You know, like, I didn't even know what sex was. I was being molested, and I didn't even know what the hell that was. Like, I was so just not had any knowledge of anything but just survive. Don't die. Don't die. And I kept telling myself that. And as I sat there, I was sitting there begging my mom from the bottom of my heart to save me. And she would just laugh and ridicule me. And she was just like, it's like she got the freaking hell off on it. She really did. I never have considered her a victim, especially as I gotten older, spoken with her. She's not a victim. She's absolutely a predator. And she enabled and pushed Ron McCray to do a lot of sick shit to me. So it was almost like she was jealous of me as a girl in the family. Like, I was just not wanted as a girl. And since I was the only girl, you don't think that for 5 seconds that your parents would do these sick things to you. They would be happy to have you, but they were not happy to have me. They wanted me gone. And I remember just sitting there climbing on those walls, and you're just like, there's so much feces and water and pee and disgust. And I just kept going under and under and under. And finally, I do know they gave me that little stick finally, because there's like toilet paper in there, and you're just, I don't even want to think about it anymore, because it was just the most horrifying thing that like, I just don't know how you do that. And to watch somebody suffer such pain and fear of losing their lives, I just don't understand how that's ever been okay for Pennsylvania not to do anything about it. To me, it's just astronomical. It's like they're doing it all over to me again. And so for me to ask for justice is just a nothing situation compared to what I went through. And when you go through these kind of things growing up, we think, you know, justice is at least deserve that, right? Don't I just deserve that, you know? But so far, no, I don't. So it kind of makes you feel hopeless. You feel hopeless with the system. You feel hopeless that these people did all this and they walk free today, and they do sick things to other kids that you hear about, and you're just like, I'm trying, but I can't get anybody to get up and do something about it. And I think about the DA there. He has children, and I think, you know, what if that was his kids? You know, could you imagine if that happened? I could never wish this on anybody. But as I sat there in that outhouse hall with tampons, and I really remember the maggots, it was just so horrifying. The fear of just like, this is my last moments. I'm going to drown here. I'm going to literally drown in feces. Like, how is that even something you could think of happening? But that was my world at that moment. And this went on for so freaking long. And finally what they would do is they just get tired. They get tired of something and then they would just go to the next thing. So I remember somehow they put a bit like a log stick in there and had to drag me out because they didn't want to grab my hands. And when they dragged me out of the feces, that Cheryl was like, Ron's like, well, you clean her up. And she's like, well, she's not going in the house. I don't want her walking in the house with feces all over her. So they said, well, she can go down to the pond at the hill where the church is, and she can take a shower there in the pond. I could imagine like what I've already gone through. Like, I'm just standing there. Like, what is wrong with you people? Like, what's wrong with you people? And Cheryl's like, so I'm going to go, there's a path that goes down to the church, and that path is the way, you know, like, that way it wouldn't be so painful to walk on because they weren't going to give me any shoes. So I'm barefoot on top of it. And they tell my brother Ronnie Jr., and I remember specifically Cheryl would say things that, it was weird. Like, if there was any kind of, I know y'all think this is probably the stupidest thing ever, but just for example, going down that path, she's like, no. She's not going down that path. She's going to have feces everywhere down that path, and I'm not walking down that path. So she's going to go through the woods. So it was like she wanted to make everything worse for me. And even if Ron gave me a little bit of a break somewhere, she would just lash out harder. And so she tells Ronnie Jr. to take me through the woods to the pond, which I don't know. I can't, I think it's called logistically, the mileage of how far it is from the top to the bottom. I think it is almost close to a mile or a half a mile. It's quite a ways, y'all. At that 174 Gilmore Hollow Road. If you look at the top, I've got a map. If you look at the top of it and go down that hill, you'll see a pond. So in Pennsylvania, it's rocks. It's like, it's not that, you know, soft of a place to walk through. So me and Ronnie go down, and Ronnie's with me, and as we go down the hill, he's just in front of me, and he was crying. He's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I don't know either. He's just like, you gotta live. He always used to tell me that. You just gotta live, Cherie. You gotta live. Because we didn't know anywhere to escape, where we were gonna go. You know, you're gonna call 911. We didn't even know what 911 was, but if you went to the police, well, look what happened. You know, the chief of police is working with my dad. That wouldn't have saved us, so we knew we had no way out. So he took me to that pond, and I got in the pond. And as I was in the pond, like, trying to wash this off, I'm trying to drink the pond water on top of it because I'm so freaking thirsty because they won't give me anything to drink or feed me or anything. And I just remember him saying over and over, he said at that pond, he looked so hopeless. He looked so hopeless. Like, just remember seeing his face of just like, what do we do? Like, how in God's name can we even begin to escape? We have no friends. We have no family. Like, what are we going to do? And so he just stood down there by that pond. He was just looking at me. And that day I was thinking of, like, how can I drown myself in this pond? And we were talking about it. I'm not sure if I've even told anybody this, but we were sitting there at the pond talking about just how to drown me. And he didn't, like, Ronnie didn't want me to die because we were, like, best friends. And we knew we had to live because of Steven. He was like our little hombre, you know, or whatever you call it. Like, he was just our little brother. And we just felt so compelled that they would do the same thing to him. So we knew we just couldn't kill ourselves. So, but there was this pipe that stood out of the pond. So I got on top of it and I was standing there and I was like, Ronnie, I can't do this. And he just, Cherie, you gotta live. You gotta live. And I was like, I just want to die. I don't want to do this anymore. So I jumped off the pipe into the water. And I just, instincts, grab your nose. Like, I just couldn't drown myself. I was pathetic at suicide. Good God. I couldn't figure that out. And we went back up that hill, and I was cut up so bad because all the briars, they're like briars, they just stick all over me. They just ripped me to shreds. And to this day, I wonder when, Ronnie's dead now, the things he must have thought before and after, what he had saw with his sister, the torture. It's just remarkable how much pain we all went through there, and nobody did a damn thing. CPS paid my parents $30,000. Are you fucking kidding me? I've got so much proof of what you people failed to do for us. So when I ask for justice, I don't think I'm asking for a lot when you've gone through something like that. And I always tell people, that's one day of my life. That was one day of my life. That was one day of my childhood. So can you just imagine how much I want to fight for justice? If I can live through that, my God, can you imagine how much I want to live? And unfortunately, even though a bunch of people that are either my family or people that are literally mentally psychotic that I'm fortunate to come across in my life, you guys, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to give up. And I'm really proud that God made me beautiful. And I'm really proud that I'm the person that I am today. Because when you've lived through something like that, you have a lot of pride in yourself. That's why I don't take a lot of bullshit from people, and I don't take a lot of crap of this whole wind me down state. I call it the wine state, not Texas. I'm meaning just the world, woe is me, poor is me, I've been through so much, or this and that. And a lot of people have. A lot of people have been through a lot of bad stuff. But some of this crap is it's just like that crap. And I'm really glad at the end of the day that God saved me and that God brought me literally from the bottom of hell, from the bottom of it, basically a shithole, and saved me. And before I finish this video, I want to make a note that they went to church. My mom went to church that evening and told Gilbert Davis, this guy named Gilbert Davis, he lives in Bedford, Pennsylvania, told him what they did to me that day. She was honored, hey, let me tell Gilbert in church that we took our daughter and threw her in an outhouse hole. And so when you say there's not witnesses or there's not that, well, they haven't said that. They don't really say anything besides nothing. So I'm sorry I'm a mess in this video. I just wanted people to know that you can really crawl from the bottom of hell out, and you can live through anything if you just set your mind to it and just keep telling yourself the day is going to come for justice. The day is going to come. There's going to be a better day. And if anything in the world, I used to Google, if this helps anybody, I used to Google a certain story. Long story short, I seen something on Oprah one day that I thought was the most horrifying thing somebody had to live through, and it was the loss of their 2 children dying. And I used to Google that story every time when I would get really low in life, because I thought that was something so painful that I had not had experience. And I thought, that person lived through that. I can live through it. I can live through this. So please share my story. Please call Josh Shapiro out of the, he's out of Evansburg, Pennsylvania. Call the district attorney in Somerset, Pennsylvania, and request and demand for justice for me. I would really appreciate it. That's all I'm asking for in life, is for justice, and that these people be tried for the crimes that they committed against me, because I absolutely know they did their best to try to kill me. So thank you guys. I appreciate all of y'all. Again, I'm sorry. This is a very horrid story. I'm sorry that I ruined the Maxwell House coffee can for you. But every time I see them in a store, I remember the day that's happened. I remember that my mom loved to see me suffer. I remember that my mom's favorite coffee was Maxwell House, and that was my toilet. I remember the day that I crawled out of an outhouse hole and I lived to see the day today. This is Cherie McCray. I'm 42 years old. My date of birth is 9/14/78. This is my story of survival of the fittest, I guess is what I call it. But please note, and I hope Josh Shapiro and the district attorney in Pennsylvania, I hope every day I'm on your mind. And please give me justice. Thank you all. Have a blessed day.